Hi and welcome to this video log with me, Wayne, and
Shelley
from swimmingcyclingrunning.com. Now we're currently doing a follow-up to one of our most popular series we've ever done on Swim Cycle Run Coach, and that's actually Shelley's hip replacement and how it went and the recovery over 3 months. Well, we have a huge amount of questions on those videos about hip surgery, and we're going to today, hopefully, you agree?
Absolutely.
Answer the most common questions that you are asking. And most of them, would you agree, are about the fears that people have, not only about the surgery, but about what might happen afterwards.
I think the biggest one is what might happen afterwards, because the surgery, at least, you know, the surgeon will take you through. Nobody tells you about what's going to happen afterwards.
Yeah, so we're going to try and answer those questions that all of you are asking, and hopefully this will be a very useful video to you or to a family member who wants to know what's happening and what you can do after surgery. Okay, so just to let people know what you feel most people have been asking in general about all the videos and the recovery.
I think the biggest question people ask me now is, how do I feel I'm doing? It's been nearly 3 years, just coming up to the anniversary. And actually, I'm great. I can't believe how good my hip feels, and that it really doesn't bother me on a day-to-day basis. I don't have issues with it, and I think that's, you know, for me, that's fabulous. So that's the biggest thing, and I just, you know, to tell people that 3 years on, it's still really good, and and it's great. I like it.
Okay, again, for people's knowledge, just what did you feel you wanted to get back to do that you couldn't do whilst obviously you were pre-surgery?
Okay, well, obviously pre-surgery I couldn't do anything at all, but the main things for me are I love to run, and I also do quite a bit of reformer Pilates, and I wanted to make sure that I could do both of those without suffering and without pain.
You also swim a bit.
Oh yeah, and I swim, that's very true, I do swim.
And we also, if you go on holiday, you might windsurf.
That's, yeah.
Do something like that.
Paddleboard.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so to be able to do all of those activities, a bit of biking we do. So, I mean, those things I tend to do. Obviously, I don't paddleboard in the UK, far too cold for me, but I do like to do it if we're away somewhere and it's warm. But so those things as well, when I can. But the main things were the things that I do every day or do quite often are the running and the Pilates, and then all of these things, not to have to worry about them whenever I want to do them.
Okay, and just to let people know, you're back doing all of those things now?
Absolutely, I can do them all. For me, and I think you would possibly be told you don't have to, but I am still very cautious about certain things. So if I'm doing a reformer Pilates, I will be cautious about my hip doing certain of the exercises, just because I don't want to take a risk, not because it hurts or it feels uncomfortable, but I don't want to take the risk that I could hurt it. So from my point of view, one of the things that I feel has been a success for me is being cautious and being careful about what I do, so that I don't really push myself to the edge, because for me there's no point. I'm doing the things I want to do.
Now, I know one of the most popular questions, or most frequently asked questions that we get on this series is, I've been told I can't run after I have the hip surgery, otherwise I'm going to have it replaced early. You are running. What's your view? How's it been? How's the running journey been for you? Okay,
so I don't remember being told that I couldn't run. I remember being told that I could do everything I did before after surgery. So I went out and ran. But it's a very common thing. People say, I've been told I can't run. I run roughly 3K, probably 5 or 6 times a week. I have no issues when I'm running. I feel fine when I'm running. My question, and I have gone back to my surgeon and asked him, is, what does your hip will wear out mean? You know, are we talking 10 years or 20 years? There are sports people who have new hips and continue to do sport, like Andy Murray, who's playing tennis. So for me, it's worth it. I love doing it, and so far I haven't felt any bad effects from it. But I don't really know what the answer is. And I'm hoping that I'll hear, and then I'll let you know as soon as I know, as soon as I get some sort of answer.
Okay, so to give my viewpoint of this as a sports coach, remember I'm obviously predominantly a triathlon coach, the feeling of being fit, of actually enjoying your body, is hugely important. It's important both physically and mentally for people. And if you are a fit person and suddenly become unfit because of a hip, you want to get back to that. Now, I look at pros and cons. If, for example, running might make you have a hip replacement 2, 3, 4, 5 years early, but your lifestyle is going to be that much better, and you already know you can run afterwards, you know that the next hip replacement is just a 3-month hiccup in my life. I'm still going to continue my life exactly as I want, and you're going to be mentally that much better off if you exercise. What do you think?
I agree with that totally, and that's why it's important. What does your hip is going to wear out mean? Because Wayne's right. If you're going to have another hip replacement in 20 years, I will have enjoyed those 20 years getting there. So, you know, for me, that's great. Only 20 years.
All right. So if people want to look at your complete journey, I'll put a link below, obviously, and they can watch the whole series if they wish. But just your back to running journey, how did that go and how did you progress through it? I know that you were very conscious of only doing what your physio and surgeon says you could. So if there was a time you could do something, you didn't do it before then. But just take us through what your mental process.
I'm very lucky because I had my own coach to take me through, but I was told not to run at all for the first 3 months, and I did not do that. I almost tried to jog one day, but Wayne said, no, not yet. So I didn't. So I didn't do anything for 3 months. I was really strict about that, other than walking, which I was allowed to. And then basically Wayne had to start again with me and my what do you call it?
Form.
Form. That's
well, we've got videos of that. In fact, I'll tell you what, we'll just cut away and we'll just show videos of what we were doing to get your form back to what might be considered normal.
So I think it's quite important, I would just say, to make sure that you get the form back so that you're running well, because if you've had an injury, you don't want to be running badly, you want to be running well. And we spent quite a lot of time before I just went off and ran, making sure my form was good to start with.
As you can see, as Shelley started running, she looked as if she was shuffling along. And what we wanted to do was to actually make sure that she was landing on each foot as a separate leg. And that separate leg had its own springiness in it. She was using her connective tissue as opposed to just her muscles. You can see here from these drills, she's starting to look like she's landing on her feet and using that springiness to bounce off. That's quite important when you're running. And from there we could move on to using some small hurdles. And this is trying to speed up her footfall. And you can see she's trying to speed up there. And she's looking like she's running pretty well. And the next step was just to extend these hurdles so she's actually driving off the back foot as well as landing in the right place. And she's starting to look as if she's a runner again. So as a coach, what I saw in Shelley was a tendency to roll her one hip over the bad hip. So she'd sort of lift up and keep the hip straight as she did it. And that's what you were trying to correct. You might feel that. You might feel you're rolling over and keeping one hip pretty straight with the body because you don't want to bend. You don't want to put extra pressure on that hip. And that we had to really work hard to overcome. I occasionally see that in Shelley still, where I think she's favouring one leg over the other. And I think that's just learnt behaviour more than pain.
No pain.
No pain. So it is learnt behaviour, and you've got to really repeat and exercise time and time again to make sure that your muscle memory goes back to what you want, not back to what it thinks it has to do because your hip has been hurting for so long. Okay, so as with everything nowadays, if it's not on your watch or it's not on Strava or it's not on something, you haven't done it. So we can always look at our performances now that we couldn't necessarily look before. We used to do things by feel and time. That was it. You've obviously judged your performance before and after the surgery. How would you say that's gone in terms of recovery?
Great. I mean, I would say, in fact, I think because I was more determined after the surgery to get back, my times were actually very good, and I've got back to where I was before the surgery and running the same distances in the same time. So I'm really pleased with it. So in terms of running, absolutely back to where I was before the surgery.
Okay, so the maximum you really run is about 6k, isn't it?
Yes.
And you'll do 5k runs, but mostly it's about 3k.
Mostly it's about 3, and occasionally
up and downhill and stuff.
Yes,
like
I do that outside. I was probably doing more 5Ks before the surgery, but that's not as an impact of the surgery. It's just that I haven't really got around to doing it. I'm really enjoying my 3Ks, so I've sort of stuck with them.
Plus weather's a big factor, I suppose, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
Especially in winter when it's raining
Like the rain.
cold. Absolutely.
So yeah.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so we're planning to catch up on running technique at some time. We've already seen the little video of the technique session we did. But if you have any real questions to ask Shelley or me as a coach, then please just put them in the comments below, or even if you want to private message us, we'll be happy to answer, won't we?
Absolutely.
I mean, it's been nice seeing people going through their journeys and finding out what they're doing. So please keep that going. It's been wonderful.
It's been great. And the only thing I'd say, if you are going to have surgery, although it's very daunting afterwards, it's made a complete difference to me. So, I hope it does the same for you.
Okay, and also, I think one huge thing to take from Shelley's successful recovery from surgery is take it one step at a time and follow the advice of the professionals who say to you, do this then, do that another time, do the other thing another time still. Don't try and jump the gun. You're not racing against anyone. You're just trying to get back to perfect fitness. And if that takes 3 weeks longer, it doesn't really matter. Would you say that?
Absolutely. I have to say, some of the people that I have spoken to who have had issues tends to be when they've tried to push themselves much faster. And there will be points in your recovery where you think, oh, I could do much faster now, I feel fine. Like me trying to jog when I was maybe only 9 weeks rather than 12, and Wayne reminded me that's not what you're supposed to do. And I really do think you need to take it as it's prescribed and in its own time to make it really work.
Yeah. And as a coach, I take someone from where they are today to where they want to be at a specific time. That's exactly the same with recovery. You're here today. In that length of time, you will be there. You don't have to get there quicker.
Agreed.
Okay. Thanks very much for watching. We will be updating this on occasions and when we get the view of the surgeon as well. So thanks very much for watching. Keep well. If you are going for surgery, we hope it goes as well for you as it has for Shelley. Thanks very much for watching.
Bye.